You are Locked On Rockets Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, I think if I had to give you one word to describe the Rockets' Friday night performance against the Oklahoma City Thunder, it might be yikes. What a brutal night in OKC for your Houston Rockets as they get out on the road. And after a first quarter that saw them play even basketball at 31 points apiece, they didn't do a whole heck of a lot offensively, and the Thunder coasted to a very, very easy 126-107 victory. Oklahoma City staying one lossless. The Rockets dropping to 5-4 on the season with that tough loss. Hi, and welcome to the Locked On Rockets Postcast here on a Friday night. I am your host, Michael Connor. If you're new to this channel, thanks for stopping by. If you're new later on watching it recorded, thanks for stopping by. Hit the subscribe button. This episode tonight is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to win $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Like I mentioned, the first quarter, I mean, look, that's kind of the story of the basketball game, right? You come out 31-31. I mean, you don't love giving up 31 points in a quarter, but that's okay. I mean, look, you tied what they did. The Rockets in that first quarter shot 50% from the field and 66 from three. They were 4 of 6 from the 3-point line, and they were 13 of 26 from the field. They turned the ball over just twice. They won the rebounding battle, and they just had a really good, great start to the game. And then it was like, forget about it. Forget about it. The offense went in the tank. These nights happen, right? They're always going to happen. And to the credit of the Oklahoma City Thunder, we'll talk about this in a minute, they're one of the elite teams in the league. The Rockets look like they could be a good team. But what elite teams do is, because by Oklahoma City standard in that first quarter, they're probably not all that pleased, right? They came out and they gave up 31 points. They're an elite team. Then they did the complete opposite in the second quarter where they outscored the Rockets 44-20. That's elite type of stuff. We'll talk about that, the differences, in these two teams in just a bit, because I'm optimistic for a lot of things this season. I feel good about a lot of things the way that they've started. I've talked about it the other night. I kind of feel like they've found a little bit of their identity early on, but there's still a realization in terms of where they can be this season. I used to go up and down the lineup tonight. There wasn't really anything to write home about. Jalen got off to a great start tonight in that first quarter. I mentioned how great that first quarter was. Jalen in that first quarter had 10 points on 4 of 6 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3. He finished his night 5 of 14 for 14 points. So that means he made one more basket and missed 8 the rest of the way. 1 for 8 for 4 points the rest of the way. Yikes. And I don't want to just single out him. It wasn't just him. He just stood out the most for that first quarter and what he did. Tari Eason was second in that period with 5 points scored. So, can't be perfect. I get that. It's going to happen. You would have just liked to go on the road against a team of the Thunder's capability and, put a little bit of a bigger fight up, right? And I think that's what I look for in these type of games. I know going in that Oklahoma City's better. I know that. That's okay to admit. Just like to see it be a tougher basketball game. There are nights, though, when you go out there like tonight where you start throwing up shots and look, you start missing. And then you just kind of go through the motions and whatnot, and you're just playing it out. It happens. It's human nature, right? But I think the disappointing thing about the game tonight, we've talked about the theme for this team a little bit this season, is, they'll either have these games where they get a big lead and then they'll let the other team back in it. That happens. It's not just a Rockets exclusive thing. Like, it's the NBA. It truly is a game of runs. And sometimes teams get on runs where, it's just lights out. And they'll get back into a basketball game. But so far this season, they've had a lot of those games where they will let a team back in, or the other team will get way out in front, and then they'll get back into it. I kind of expected coming into that second half, for as bad as that first half ended up being, because the second quarter was atrocious, I really just felt like, they're going to come out of the halftime break. Ime Udoka is going to have done what Ime Udoka does, which is go in there and basically scream up and down at these guys and, get them back focused in the right direction to where they'll come out and have a much better third quarter, and they'll make a run and they'll make it interesting. They briefly had a second of that, right? Briefly, where it was like, they're creeping back towards a 10-point game, but it never got all that close. So I think that's probably one of the disappointing things from tonight's game. Not that I expected you to make a game of it. Not that I expected you to, suddenly figure it out and start crushing the Thunder down the stretch. But I guess I was just hopeful of getting back into it to an extent, which they did not pull off tonight, as they lose this one to the Thunder 126-107. The Rockets falling to 5-4 now on the season. Dang. Good thing, the other night I brought up this the standings and say, hey, just in the season right now, Western Conference seed number 4. Well, they'll be falling down that. For some reason, the NBA's website has not updated the records in the standings yet. Come on, I know it's Friday night, but get on it. You move faster than that. Well, let's talk about the differences in where these two franchises are. I mean, we know that that's one of those teams that's really great. The Rockets are aspiring to get there. But for those of you that were like ultimately optimistic or extremely optimistic on this team this year, I'm not trying to crush you or anything, but I think you saw the difference in why you can or cannot get too excited for certain things with this basketball team. We'll discuss that here in a brief moment on the Locked On Rockets Postcast. First of all, I would like to tell you guys about PrizePicks. What is PrizePicks, you ask? Well, I'm glad you did ask. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. I've told you guys in the past, for me, PrizePicks wise, I have a lot of fun with the NBA action. I think that the NBA action for daily fantasy sports is my absolute favorite. And my favorite category is the points, rebounds, and assists combined. I absolutely love going after those. And I've done okay with those as well. You know what's great when I do that? Well, you can get your money quickly. You could get your payout from PrizePicks. They now offer Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. They put all their members first. So when you have a withdrawal, they're safe and fast and secure. My picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. It's fantastic. Sign up today, like I mentioned, at PrizePicks, downloading the app. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select players' projections up to 25% to provide you even more value to your lineup. Again, go ahead and download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. And one more reminder before we get back to our discussion on the Rockets' loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. I want to go ahead and remind you guys about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $5 or can bet $5, and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. It's a Locked On Rockets postcast following a loss. I don't know why I did the hip-hop horn there, but the wah, 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 that's what I was looking for. The Rockets lose this one to the Thunder by a final of 126-107. Offensively, started out pretty solid, and the Rockets finished the game tonight. They shoot 43% from the field. They found a way back to 36 from three, which is good. I mean, there was a period of time in that game. It was that second quarter where they went from pretty good to wow, all the way down. I mean, so bad for the Rockets in that second quarter as they watched the Thunder go and rip off a 24-point lead after the second quarter. That's crazy to think about, when you actually sit back and analyze it. You were tied after one. So it's essentially this. I mean, I shouldn't say it's essentially. It is just like when the game started again. It's just that there's a score there instead of 0-0. And then you went out in one singular quarter, 12 minutes of basketball, and fell behind 24 points. And the Rockets won the second half. Yay. They won it by 5 points. 5 points. It's big time, right? 56-51 in that second half of the game. The Rockets actually outscored OKC. But the game was in hand at that point. The game was over. I mean, look, you see, they cleared out benches. Which, it's another night of not having the offense, and you'd like to see something out of, somebody off the bench that goes off. Can't just be Tari Eason every night. Can't just be Amen Thompson. Does anybody else? I know that he doesn't play a lot. Does anybody else watch Steven Adams and think he's having a hard time just moving around? Like, I was really excited to get him last season, even though he was out and preparing it for next season. But, man, I watch him play and I go, that guy can't play in the NBA much longer. Like, does he? If he wants to, he can. I know he's made a ton of money. I need to see exactly how much it is. I mean, you play in the NBA, first of all, today. You just walk in and you fart yourself to a $10 million contract at this point. But I'm just watching him and I'm like, man, he does not seem like he moves fantastically anymore, which fantastically is not a word, but for my purposes here, it's going to be. He has made $159 million. That's not including this year's salary. Now, of course, he's not made that, all the taxes and agent fees and whatnot, but he's pocketed a lot of money. But it'd be nice to see somebody step up, and on a night like this and pour in a bunch of points. That's what you're, really looking for. Would have been a great night to get little Cam Whitmore in your life offensively. Too bad he's, been sent down to the G League, which is what it is. Go play, get your minutes, come back, hopefully play some. But tonight would have been one of those nights, I feel like, off the bench where you just say, hey, Cam, go out there and get your buckets, buddy, like you always like to do. Because they were missing buckets in the second quarter. That is for sure. Like I mentioned, in that first quarter, the Rockets went out there and they shot the you-know-what out of the basketball in that quarter. 50% from the field, 66 from three, and then they came back in the second quarter and they shot 29 from the field and 16 from three. While OKC went 70% from the field and 75 from three. Oops. Is that bad? Yes. That is very, very bad. That kind of brings me back to the last point about the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll get to that here in just a brief second. We're going to talk about that. I did want to give some comments on the new Rockets uniforms that came out today as well. Not seen those. We will discuss those here in just a couple of seconds on the Locked On Rockets Postcast following a 126-107 loss for the Rockets tonight up in OKC against those Thunder. Let me tell you guys right now about, not about them. I'm going to tell you about SKIMS. SKIMS. Have you heard about SKIMS? I bet you have. They are a really cool company. They make awesome underwear. Yeah, underwear. I got excited when I heard that SKIMS weren't making underwear. I'm sure that a lot of you have as well. For men, I should say. They've been in the women's game for a long time. My wife, she's got some SKIMS. And guess what? Now I can have some SKIMS too. Because SKIMS is like we've all had underwear experiences. Underwear is uncomfortable half the time. I'm going to be honest with you guys right now here live on YouTube. It's uncomfortable. But you know what? SKIMS has eliminated that. They've eliminated that with so many options. That's what I love is options. I like to feel like, you know what? You can breathe. That's the most important thing to me. I don't want to be all bunched up. Not for me. Don't want to feel like that. I want comfort in my life. Why wouldn't you? And that's what they've got. Whether it's the cotton 5-inch boxer brief, the stretch 5-inch boxer brief, the 3-inch boxer brief, options all over the place. I think for me, one of my favorites has been the stretch brief. And I used to be a boxer guy a long time ago. And then you realize, okay, these aren't comfortable either. This is just another layer of clothes. But they've got those boxer briefs, the stretch boxer briefs, which I think are perfect. They're sleek, they're lightweight, they're comfortable. It gets you, feeling like you're almost wearing nothing. And that's kind of, to be honest with you, for me, that's kind of what I'm going for. I don't want to feel like I'm wearing anything down there. And there you go. That's what you get with SKIMS. Shop SKIMS Mens at skims.com. Let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. If you're looking for the perfect gifts for the whole family, SKIMS just launched their biggest holiday shop ever. It's also available at skims.com. Again, that's skims.com. Locked On Rockets Postcast tonight. Following the loss to the Thunder 126-107, Rockets now 5-4 on the season. Sucks. Is what it is, right? You just kind of live with it, move on, do your thing. Rockets back in action Sunday afternoon. Again, I mentioned this. Sunday is the day for Houston versus Detroit. We'll have Rockets and Pistons in the afternoon. That's a 2:00 tip on Sunday. So we will interrupt some of your football watching to do some Rockets and to do a postcast. And then Sunday night, Wade Smith and I, former Texans offensive lineman, will be with you following the Texans and the Detroit Lions on the Locked On Texans postcast. Because again, if you're new to this channel, as you're watching live or afterwards, we do Rockets, we do Texans, we do Cougs, we do Astros. Right now we are in full-on Rockets and Texans and Cougs for a brief minute. They're not playing this weekend. The basketball team is playing this weekend, tomorrow actually, against Auburn, who had to take off and then go back home and then take off again to come back to Houston because apparently they got into it on their flight. But we will do we're going to hopefully do some Cougars basketball games throughout the year. I was thinking maybe this Auburn game, there's a chance. How about this? I'll give you that. There's a chance maybe tomorrow we'll have U of H versus Auburn because there is no football game tomorrow. I'm going to check and see if we're good to go on that one, and we'll get after it if we can. Rockets, though, losers. We'll be back again Sunday, of course, for the postcast after the Pistons game. I just wanted to mention on the Thunder, not being, you see it in the graphics, they're not on the Thunder's level. And to be fair, there's not a lot of teams that are, right? This is going to be one of the better teams in the NBA this season. Last year, the Thunder finished, where did they finish in the West? They were first. That's right. I was thinking they were second, but they were technically first. I guess they had the tiebreaker over Denver because they both finished with the same record. The Thunder are probably going to finish, they're going to finish no worse than top 3 in the West. You look at the standings right now. I'm no believer in Golden State holding on to what they're doing right now. I just don't. Phoenix, they got the horses, right? The question is, can they sustain it? Can they stay healthy enough? And, Durant's older. You never know. I still like Minnesota, even if I'm still kind of like wondering what they did with their roster a little bit. But, actually, I didn't think it was the worst move in the world, getting multiple pieces. Denver's still around. Sacramento's better. Memphis is back to being, competitive. Dallas is, a good team that was just in the Western Conference or just in the NBA Finals last year. I don't think the Lakers are worth a damn. That's just me. The Clippers, probably not. And the rest is playing out for the bottom. But the conference is going to have at least 11 teams playing for the 10 spots, right? That Oklahoma City team is elite. I think if you were to put together the top tier of the teams that are the elite teams in the league right now, you can't avoid putting Cleveland in there. Is anybody seeing what Cleveland's doing? They're 10-0 to start the year. Cleveland, Boston. I think a lot of people would put the Knicks. I think you still have to put the Suns. I say a lot of people would put the Knicks. I'm not going to put the Knicks there because I need to see it happen before I believe it. I said the Suns are going to get that respect. I don't think that the Nuggets are going to get that respect anymore. I think people expect them to fall back. And then the Thunder. Thunder are a championship contender. And that's the difference between them and the Rockets. The Rockets are a team that is just hoping to get back in the playoffs. And I think you saw that on the floor tonight. It's a reminder of just how different the levels of talent are. SGA is a monster. He's an absolute monster. Chet Holmgren's a monster too. They might not have won a championship there, and Sam Presti might have pulled off one of the worst trades and sending Harden to the Rockets back in the day like he did for a bag of peanuts. But man, Sam Presti and that crew there, they know how to build a basketball team. They truly do. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Doesn't mean that the Rockets can't get there one day. And they didn't have any expectation to be that, this season. I get that. But it's pretty clear when you watch them play a team like this, the difference in the levels of talent for the Rockets and the Thunder when they go head to head. One day, people. One day. Hey, real quick, I just saw I saw them this morning. The Rockets' new City Connect uniforms that came out. I don't know if you guys like them or not. It is an homage to championship years. I can't decide. Now, I have a 15-year-old nephew that lives in my house that absolutely loves anything that they put out. I will say this is one of their, for the City Connect jerseys, it's better than I absolutely hated the Columbia blue ones. I thought they just looked bad, and they were the same jerseys, but just with blue. I loved last year's. Last year's were, without a doubt, the best City Connect jerseys that they've had. And they were so good with the Spaceman. I kind of wish that those could make their way in regularly. Here's where I'm at, and this is as a lifelong Houstonian from birth to now. My family's been in the city of Houston for like 3 generations or something like that, maybe even 4. I cannot stand H-Town. Call me old. That's fine. I just have never liked it. I've never liked it. I've never liked calling ourselves H-Town. I just don't like it. But the jerseys are slick. I'll give them that. The look is slick. I just think that's my only complaint, is that I don't like H-Town. I would have rather you just blasted Houston across the chest. It's the 30th anniversary, the back-to-back titles, and they're honoring those with a Houston, a modernized Houston look to that uniform. Just don't like it. Again, just don't like H-Town. What I would like, and what I don't like, is when they lose. I would like it if they'd win their next basketball game. They'll do that again Sunday against the Detroit Pistons. 2:00 is the tip. We will be live as soon as the game ends right here on the Locked On Rockets Postcast. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday night. Enjoy your Saturday. If we're able to pull off Cougs basketball tomorrow, I'll let you guys know. You'll see the video pop up as well. And if we do that, make sure you join us for that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to go get this podcast anywhere that you get your podcast. Search for it for free. And also go check out the Locked On Rockets podcast, the daily podcast, for my buddy Jackson Gatlin, who does a wonderful job checking out your Rockets. Forgot to remind you guys about that earlier, like I usually do. But for real, go check out Jackson with the Locked On Rockets podcast. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. We'll talk this weekend right here on the Locked On Sports Houston.